morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you a stadium which is so good, it literally ends your turn. I know, right? That's pretty cool. Now, what it is, it's called Laboratory. And according to the lovely David Hochmann, I mean, look, he's provided our translation. He usually provides our translation. He's a lovely, lovely man. And according to David, it reads, once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for 2 Pokemon that evolve from unidentified fossil and put them onto their bench. Then they shuffle their deck and that player's turn ends. That's right. It ends your turn. It is a way of getting out restored Pokemon. Because you see, at the moment, we got a really annoying mechanic. And look, fossils always have annoying mechanics. At the moment, we've got unidentified fossil. And we can use fossil excavation map to get it out more easily. But you've got to play unidentified fossil as kind of a pseudo-basic. Except it's not a basic, so you can't search it out with something like Professor Round's lecture. Because until it hits the field, it's an item card. You can get it with something like Order Pad, but that's just a lot more awkward. And then you can't recover it with stuff like Rescue Stretcher, and it's just annoying. And it's a stage 2, and we just don't like them. They're awkward. But what we have now, ladies and gentlemen, is we have Laboratory. And instead of putting down an unidentified fossil, and then finding a Pokemon that evolves from unidentified fossil, you just get 2 of those Pokemon and put them straight onto your bench. Now, quick ruling query, because I've seen a bunch of people asking this and getting excited about this already. No, this does not mean turn 1 Kabutops. Kabutops does not evolve from unidentified fossil. Kabuto evolves from unidentified fossil. Kabutops evolves from Kabuto. You definitely cannot use this to get a turn 1 Kabutops. It would be genuinely broken if you could. It would break the game. Kabutops is such an impactful Pokemon when you get it out quickly that it led to Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick being banned. So let me say this super clearly for those at the back. You cannot use this to get a turn 1 Kabutops. You can use it to get a turn 1 Kabuto, and that still gives you a turn 2 Kabutops, and it's still a great, great card. It still lets you get an early Kabutops. It can still be extremely disruptive, but no turn 1 Kabutops here. So the question essentially becomes, alright then, what Pokemon do we have that can take advantage of this? And more importantly, what Pokemon do we have that want to take advantage of this? And I think there are probably 3 Pokemon straight off the bat that are the best with this. And let's start off having a look at Kabutops, because Kabutops is nuts. Kabutops is a great Pokemon that reads, as long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent cannot play any supporter cards from their hand. Cool. It's amazing. Now the attack 1 fighting 2 colourless energy 80 to the active 20 to each of 2 bench is fine, we don't really care. What we do care about extremely strongly is the fact that as soon as you get Kabutops in the active, your opponent does not have access to any kind of supporter. Nothing. No Cynthia to get them rolling and get a bit of consistency. No Guzma, although that will have rotated by the time this comes out, for a little bit of switching or any of that malarkey. No. So, okay, this basically means turn 2 rather than turn 1 Kabutops, but it still gives your opponent absolute best case scenario 2 turns to get set up, and then they're locked out of supporters for the game. That's pretty sweet. Now, the fact that you put Kabuto straight onto the bench is a bit of a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, it means you can evolve into Kabutops next turn. Turn 1, use Laboratory, get your Kabuto out. Turn 2, evolve into Kabutops. It's essentially a stage 1 at that point. You're good. The downside here, and it is a downside, you can't attach energy on that first turn. Now, you can attach energy to something else and energy switch it over. But annoyingly, you're putting Kabuto on your bench and ending your turn, which means you still need to attach the energy, which is awkward. And Kabutops doesn't have great energy acceleration because it's a fighting Pokemon. It's not perfect, although look, you can still use Welder, so what you could do is on your second turn, go fighting energy, welder 2 fire energy and go. Little bit awkward, but it would totally work. And then your opponent is supporter locked. And you can afford to be a bit slower because your opponent is supporter locked. The other one I adore here is Omastar. Now, Omastar's a bit more awkward again, but Omastar, if you've got fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, they're item locked. Now, what you could do here, kind of hilariously, is just only play a single basic Pokemon. Maybe something like Yveltal. It's got free retreat and it stops your opponent playing special energy, or at least discards it if they do. That's kind of fun. And then you just get your Omastar out and just item lock your opponent. You don't even have to play any unidentified fossil at all here. Although, to be honest, unidentified fossil, you're still going to play a bunch because it's not a basic Pokemon, so you don't have to start with it. So you can literally play like 4 unidentified fossil, 4 Omastar, 1 Yveltal. Your opponent will get a few mulligan cards here and there, but it means that you're always going to start Yveltal, and then you can just get your turn 2 Omastar, and hopefully you can start getting rolling. You can even use something like a Giovanni's Exile here. Is that what it got translated as? Hopefully. You can use Giovanni's Exile here to make sure that you get rid of your undamaged bench Pokemon and then just item lock your opponent for the game. It's awkward because if you've got 2 and they've got 2, they won't be item locked. But come on. It's kind of fun regardless. And they are the 2 that really spring to mind. Turn 2 Kabutops essentially every game makes me happy. Omastar, you're going to come across some Pokemon that can play 1 or 2 Pokemon and really screw you over, but most of them won't be able to, and then you can item lock them for the game. And you might only be hitting for 60, but you're hitting for 60 while they're item locked. You've got Diancie Prism Star because you're a fighting Pokemon, but again, this is a Pokemon which is trying to play as few bench Pokemon as possible. Maybe you don't bench stuff like Diancie for the sake of it. Now, there are other Pokemon you can use. I don't think any of them are as good. You do have Aerodactyl. Now, Aerodactyl I like very much here, because it's a stage 1, so you essentially get it out using Laboratory, and it's on your bench and it's ready to go. Free energy, 180 if you don't have any EX or GX Pokemon on your bench. And you can use this with Malamar to accelerate energy. You can use it with the aforementioned Welder. But you're also going to have triple acceleration energy. This is a stage 1 at the end of the day, even though you get it out straight away as if it were a basic. And now all of a sudden, you're just hitting 180 every turn. Now, triple acceleration energy only lasts for 1 turn, but come on, just get a couple of Malamar out, use triple acceleration energy where Malamar is failing. Job's a good one. I love this. I think this is really, really good. You can also use the Naganadel Quagsire combination if you were so inclined. And now you got a non-GX hitting for good damage. You're not 1-hit KOing Tag Team GXs, but you're 2-hit KOing them for free prizes. They're 1-hit KOing you for 1. You're still winning that exchange. And you will KO a bunch of Tag Team GXs here. And essentially, you have Laboratory out until you've got all your Pokemon you want. And then when you're attacking, because remember, it ends your turn, so you do have to stop at some point and start attacking. And then all of a sudden, you pop down Shrine of Punishment, spread some damage, you are good to go. I really like this. Again, this will only really get your first 2, and then you'll have to go back to unidentified fossil. But what it really means is you've got your first couple Pokemon out, you've got a little bit of speed advantage, and you can use the first couple you get out while you then start playing around with unidentified fossil to get the rest. Now, there are a few others. They're not quite as good. We have Aurorus. To be fair, water double colourless 50 damage and you're immune to evolution Pokemon next turn is good, but given that the 2 best decks at the moment are Reshiram and Charizard, and Pikarom, maybe it's not the best format for an attack like that. We've got Rampardos. Now, I love 120 to an evolution for 1 energy, and I adore free energy instant KO on a basic Pokemon, especially since tag teams are all basic, but then it's free fighting energy. It's really, really awkward to use, and we are even using counter energy, so you can't even take advantage of that. It's just a little bit awkward. We've got Tyrantrum. If you've got the same number of Pokemon or fewer than your opponent, so slightly more forgiving than Omastar, you do 160 for free energy and you take 30 less from attacks, but you've still, like Rampardos, got a really awkward attack cost. If we ever get a good way to accelerate fighting energy, I can see Laboratory making a Tyrantrum, Rampardos, Kabutops deck awesome, but not until then. And then we've got Bastiodon as well. Now, I'm naming the full evolutions. You're not getting these ones out, you're getting the stage 1s out. But you know where I mean with this. Bastiodon's got an ability that prevents all damage done to your metal Pokemon by any Pokemon with special energy attached. Again, a lot of the best decks at the moment aren't using that, especially with double colourless energy rotating out. And then 2 metal, 1 colourless, 110, your opponent switches their active. I don't think that's going to see a huge amount of play. I do love this with Kabutops, Omastar, and Aerodactyl. And I do think this is amazing, because remember, any future restored Pokemon we get are also going to be able to use this. Yes, it ends your turn, but if you go first, you're not attacking anyway, so this just gets 2 of your Pokemon out. You are making an easier time to get your evolutions out. And then you've got time for unidentified fossil. The biggest problem with these restored Pokemon has been that while you're mucking about with unidentified fossil, your opponent's just taking prizes. Hopefully with this, you get the first 2 out and you're rolling. Things like Kabutops, you get reliable turn 2 supporter lock. Omastar can give you turn 2 item lock, etc. Some of these attacks are still a little bit expensive for my liking, and that's going to hurt. But this has so much potential, I'm giving it 4 Wassies. I think this is a really good stadium, and I think it's going to make people turn around and take another look at stuff like Kabutops, like Aerodactyl, like Omastar. But I want to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.